Welcome back to the Face Off podcast. I'm Derek. I'm here on location at the laundromat. The sound is a little fucked up on this one. We're doing a on location, away from the studio recording. Back in the shit, as they say in broadcasting, I guess, or something like that. At the laundromat, trying to multitask. Trying to multitask here, and I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if you're supposed to multitask. I think that might be an invention of the Industrial Revolution. I think you're supposed to pay attention. There's a Chalem Hagbard from the Illuminatus trilogy. Have you ever read the Illuminatus trilogy? If not, why not? Why not? Go read it. Check it out, man. It's a good book. It's a weird one. It's about I don't know, the eternal battle of opposing polarities, I guess. It's good. It's a good book. It's a weird one. Very crazy, like an adventure, like all sorts of cool stuff going on. Anyway, like there's boats. You know, you ever been on a boat? You ever been on a boat that goes under the water, like a submarine, or like the Nautilus? You ever heard of that thing? It's a big ship with guns and stuff. I don't know. Anyway, there was a boat in those books. I know that much for sure. And Hagbard Chalem was a captain of one of the boats. Man, those books were crazy. You should check out those. The Illuminatus trilogy. I can't remember. It was by two different people at the same time. How does that work? He said, Hagbard Chalem said, don't whistle while you're pissing. That means he said that means to focus on what you're doing. The one thing. Don't multitask like a modern asshole person. Just focus. So here I am, multitasking like a modern asshole person, and it's really probably going to be a huge disaster. But what else isn't? There's a good poll for a good nominee for our meaning of human existence. It's probably going to be a huge disaster. That's that's pretty solid, actually. That sort of sums it up. Feels pretty good. I think we can just roll up the sidewalks on this podcast and call it good. Call it all good, baby. Full disclosure, I have not made it through the entire phase. This is the first episode that I didn't make it through the entire face-off. I'm splitting it up this week so as to give more credence to the end of this movie, because the end has been tragically misrepresented by me. I have not looked into it deep enough, and I feel like there's some delicious truffles in there that I have yet to root up out of the ground. A few episodes ago we talked about not searching, just being open. That is the goal. That is definitely not what's happening here. It's interesting. It's a good idea to keep that in mind sometimes when you're talking to yourself, when you're talking to somebody else, when somebody else is talking to you, when I'm talking into your earball holes on this podcast, is that the goal, the thing being stated is often a goal and not the reality of the situation now. But that doesn't mean that it can't become the reality. So, because if that was the case, then whatever is happening right now would just always be what's happening. It would always be what's going on, and it would never change. That's totally obvious. It's a totally obvious statement that I just made there. Your goal has to be different than what your reality is. Because if it's not, you don't need it as a goal. It's just the status quo. A goal is something you're reaching for, right? So, in that sense, I'm not able at this time to stop seeking. But at least as far as Face Off goes, but as a goal, that is the future. But perhaps there's something in my mind. Perhaps there's something in my mind that's not satisfied yet, that is saying you haven't checked every corner of this particular film for the meaning of life. Perhaps it's in there somewhere. You have to see it. You have to find it. It's your destiny. And so I'm still looking. I'm still looking. It's the only thing that gets me through the viewing of this movie, because I don't like it. It's the only thing that gets me through. And so I'm still searching. In life, I'm still searching. You know, less so. Less so. I would like to stop searching and just be open. But I'm more open now than I've ever been before. I'm searching much less than ever before. And I'm accepting changes better than ever before. And that's not to say as good as I ever will, but better than ever before is enough. I don't need more than that right now. And not all these changes are good. I mean, okay, so they're good in that they exist, and that's really all I need. You know, that's part of the seeking, I think, is to say, well, there has to be some good in this change, or it's a bad thing for my life. And that's not necessarily the case. You never know how something's going to play out, how those ripples are gonna ripple out. I have the feeling. Here's a theory that I have. I have a feeling. So when you throw a rock into water, the old tried and true metaphor, when you throw a rock into water and those ripples ripple out they don't ripple out in one direction. They ripple out in every direction. And on the flat surface of the water, they ripple out to the left, to the right, to the front in a circular. It's in a circular pattern that it ripples out. And also, it ripples out downwards as the rock goes down, and it ripples out upwards because those ripples come up off of the flat surface, you know? So this ripples out in all directions, and I feel like that's what events in time do. So something happens now. So here's as a concrete example. Here I am. I'm sitting here in this car, this borrowed car, doing laundry at 5:44 in the morning, which is like it's early. I mean, this is early for me now. I just woke up a few hours ago. So I'm sitting here and I'm doing laundry, and this is abnormal. I didn't want to do it, but I'm doing it, and I'm doing the podcast, and this is happening. Now, the way that I think this works is not only does this ripple out into the future, so somebody listens to this and cures cancer because of some insight that I've had. Maybe not cures cancer, but at least finds a way into the vault where they keep the cure for cancer and gives it to the rest of the world because they're inspired by some awesome thing that I said. So that's a ripple out into the future. Now, the way that I see it, the way that I think it works, is it also ripples out into the past and actually creates the series of events that is needed in order to lead up to it actually happening. So it's not paradoxical, but it is paradoxical in that we can't perceive it very well. We can't perceive how that would work. How does that happen? It's like the chicken or the egg. What came first, the chicken or the egg? One of them had to come first, right? Right? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe there's some time consideration that we're not privy to, that we just can't see. And it's funny that I would use that word, see, because that's how we perceive most things as humans, is we see those things. Like okay. So my experience with Face Off has been mostly audio. The audio has been more impactful than seeing, and I'm trying to start seeing it better. I'm physically trying to start putting my eyes on the screen more and seeing this movie better and seeing what's happening and what is in there and everything. So okay, so what was I talking about? Oh, time. We feel like we should be able to see time as people. What if time is just a smell? They say that's your memories are most attached to the smell. So if you smell something that you have a strong memory around, for me, I remember there was a buddy of mine, Seth, actually, who's a friend of the podcast, and a friend of me. At his house, his childhood home, his dad had a shop, a printing shop where he printed stuff, and we all just hung out in there. People would smoke, and they'd smoke pot in there and just hang out as kids, as teenagers, and then as young adults and everything. And there's this interest. There was a combination in that room of the smell of people, mostly dudes, smell of dudes, but not like locker room dudes, just like the basic dude smell, and then of old smoke and new smoke and pot smoke and the ink, the printing press ink, and old wood and grease, like there was motorcycle stuff, in there and around there, and grass outside, or snow, like that cold snow. You know what? That was maybe even more indicative of that experience was the when it was cold, like the smell of cold. That smell, because it wasn't always. It was warm in there, but it wasn't like warm. They had a heater in there, but you could smell the cold outside and the cold on people when they come in and everything. This is in Washington, Colville, Washington, so it's north. It was, snow all the time up there. 96 months out of the year, snow. So anyway, there's this certain combination of odors, of smells, and every once in a while I'll smell it, and it feels like I've been time traveled back, 20 years, 30 years, well, not 30 years, maybe. Damn. Yeah, probably 30 years. But definitely 20 years, to back to that spot. And it's like, oh man, it's like everything's there except for my other senses. I don't know how to say it. It's so weird. It's like my brain goes, but it leaves the sight and hearing and taste here. It's just that my whole brain goes there except for all the other little stuff, and it's really super intense. I'm sure that everybody has something like that, a perfume or apple pie or cinnamon rolls or something. It's all food too, for me. Food stuff for sure. But there's always some kind of smell, so that's linked to. So what if time travel is a smell thing? instead of seeing things. We gotta hone our nose holes. Maybe that's why dogs are so weird. It's because they're really good at understanding time. I heard dogs don't understand time at all. That there's no differentiation. Ooh, I put a couple extra syllables in there. There's no man, I don't know how to say that word. Differentiation? God damn, is that even a thing? They don't see a difference. They don't experience a difference between 1 minute and 1 hour. I don't know if that's true. It seems like it's true, because when I walk outside for a minute and then walk back in, it's like I've been gone all day. As they freak the fuck out, you know. The dogs are weird. They're a little coddled. I love them. They're little sweethearts. It's a weird relationship with a critter, you know. So, what I'm saying is, what was I saying? God, we were talking about a lot of stuff. Time travel, sight, smell. We as people, we rely on sight, and I'm trying to do that with this movie. I'm trying to actually rely on my sight more, to see more, because I'm so bored by the end of this movie that I'm not seeing the end of it. I'm usually just hearing the end of it. So I'm trying to see. So, and also what I'm trying to do is be better at making excuses for messing stuff up. So, was unable to get through a full viewing this week. So, I'm saying that I did it on purpose. I'm saying it was deliberate, and I'm leaning into that. I was making it a 2-part viewing, and that's what's happening. I'm owning up to that. I'm doing the thing, taking it home. So let's see here. What did we get through? I was trying to wrap this all up. We had dogs and time travel and all sorts of crazy shit going on there. Life has been wild. Life is pretty wild. Angela, my life partner, wifey, girlfriend, equal in all things. My favorite person in the world just had hip surgery, and that's a crazy, awesome, multifaceted experience right there. Super excited for her to be able to walk without having a lot of pain all the time. She just underwent gigantic back surgery in 2016, where at a follow-up to that surgery, the doctor was looking at the x-rays, and he's like, look at that spine is real straight. And then he looked at me and he said, well, we had her open, I just reached in there and straightened it out. And he made a gesture with both hands that still makes me a little queasy when I think about it, because the human spine isn't that big. You just reach in and and she got her surgery was from the front. She got cut in her stomach and they went in. So this guy was essentially saying, I reached in to the person that you love the most in the world, and I grabbed her spine with both hands and straightened it out. It was a very interesting moment. It was a spark of a semi-divine confidence in that guy's eyes. He's like, I fix people. I take God's errors and I make them right. And he was a real weird dude. But yeah, that was rough. That was crazy. And that surgery was much more intense than this surgery. This one still was quite intense. But Angela has an amazing pain tolerance and an inspiring level of get up and go, that of moxie, if you will, that I attain to. I'd like to. So I attain to it whilst sabotaging my life in every direction. I like to think that I have I like to think that she has a creative energy, and she looks out on the world and sees people suffering and says, how can I alleviate that suffering? What can I do to make this more harmonious, what I see in the world, more harmonious? What can I do? How can I be of service in that direction? She has a calming bent to her personality. She wants to not to placate anybody, but to bring harmony to somebody's experience. It's a wonderful thing to behold. And my personal energy is a destructive energy. And when I see somebody riding down the street on a bicycle with a goofy, happy smile on their dumb sheep face, I want to run out to the street and shoulder check them into the gutter and make sure that they're not too goddamn comfortable riding around all self-assured and shit. And that's what my energy is. I have a mischievous, destructive energy, and I create through destruction, and that's that. And I guess you could look at Angela as destroying through creation. She sees the weaknesses that somebody has and can sometimes expose them gently, but oftentimes it's not seen as gentle. It's seen as jarring. So she can expose somebody's weakness in a creative way, but it can seem destructive to the person that is being exposed. Because who wants to be exposed? Speaking of exposure, Louis C.K. is back here. I like comedy, and here comes Louis. Doing some sets pretty soon. That's pretty soon, Louis. Come on. What are we doing here? And doing surprise sets, just showing up out of the blue. Oh, Jesus. This is a well-trod thing. I think a lot of people are talking about Louis coming back. And that's probably exactly what he wanted. And I don't know. It seems pretty gross to me. But I'm a minor entity in the whole situation here. I don't think much about it. I guess that's it. I'm not, haven't really been, it's pretty rough. It's one of those things where it's really easy to dismiss what Louis did as not as bad as something else that somebody else did. It was definitely not a Cosby. That guy was pretty bad. You know what I mean? But, excuse me, but that's because we have a fascination with the physical aspect of things. We talked about this in regards to Face Off with, would it be worse if Mikey didn't get killed at the beginning of the movie, but lived through his father's assassination, had to deal with that. So the physical scar, or the physical ramification wouldn't be as much, but the psychological ramifications, the psychological ramifications would last his entire life. They would color every single interaction that he ever had. You know what I mean? And perhaps that would have been a better thing. But perhaps his dying was the better thing. And how do we weigh those things? Well, the way that we weigh them is with a knee jerk. He died. That's the worst thing that can happen to a person. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Maybe his life would have been a horror show after seeing his own daddy murdered. So this is what I'm saying. Physically, it's easy to say that Bill Cosby is the worst in this situation. And just numbers-wise, too. Maybe I picked a bad example there. But emotionally, to the effects of having something and somebody like that. I mean, damn, Louis, he's at the top of the game, son. What the fuck? Having something like that done. I mean, that fucks with a person. You know, it fucks with the safety of a person, the way that they feel about life in general and stuff. Is my assumption. Because for me, here's the thing. I got into a bicycle crash the other day, and I never think bicycle crash is that big of a deal. I was just talking about shoulder checking somebody off a bicycle. Like it was no big deal. I got into a bicycle crash the other day, and I mean, it's weeks ago now. So all the physical signs of this bicycle crash are gone. I've healed physically, and they hurt. It was pretty rough, you know, but I'm still psychologically not the same. Like when I ride my bike, I'm still psychologically worried about crashing. I'm not physically worried about it anymore, but psychologically I'm like, oh, I could, in an instant, I could fuck up. It's scarier now. I don't go as fast, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not obviously comparing experiences there, but man, it's so easy to dismiss the psychological part of it. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of people with Louis, and with Louis in particular, is he's dismissing the psychological aspect of it, that they can and will last for years. I just watched this movie called Unsane. It was really good, really solid flick, but it deals with that, the psychological aspect of stalking. Somebody of a woman being stalked and having to deal with that. This is obviously a way crazier situation in the movie, but it's good because the movie doesn't end with retribution. It keeps going a little further, and I like that when they do that. I always wanted to have like a first-person shooter game where you spend hours, 8-10 hours shooting the shit out of everybody, and everybody dies. And then at that point, the game, you win, you kill the end boss, and you're good, you did it, you're the champion. And then at that point, the game switches gears, and it becomes like one of those text sort of games where you're trying to choose the right answers and everything, and the answers affect the outcome, but it's you trying to talk through your trauma of murdering thousands of people with like a psychiatrist or psychoanalyst, or you know, a Thetan auditor or something, and that's like the game for 10 more hours, or at least like 50 times longer than the shooting part of it, is you're trying to work out your psychological trauma from murdering all these people and everything. All right, here's what's going to happen. I don't know if we figured out the Louis debate, but I don't think, boy, it feels like if you're going to see Louis at this point, it's like a freak show sort of thing. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe what happened, I don't feel like Louis quite got I don't know. He should, he's become a punchline. That's what it is at this point. I don't know if it's going to ever change, so I'm going to get out of there. Here's what's going to happen. I got to go put the laundry in the dryer at the laundromat here, and so I'm pausing, which I have no need to say. I could just make this an absolutely seamless transition, but I'm not going to. I'm going to pause right now, and I'll be right back. All right, and we're back here. I got the clothes in the dryer. There was Fleetwood Mac playing in that laundromat. That is so gross. I hate music, lyrical music in public places. That shouldn't be allowed, I don't think. I think there should be a statute that says, nope, no way. You go to a concert venue, you put on some headphones, excuse me, or you carry around one of those big boom boxes like in Do the Right Thing. Is that movie? That's a Spike Lee movie. That dude will always listen to What's that band called? Who's that group? That collective? Public Enemy. He just had the one Public Enemy tape all the time. Okay, so here's my final thought on the Louis situation. And what's interesting, this isn't my final thought, this is my first thought. I know everybody's just on the edge of their seat, want to know what Derek thinks about Louis. Here's my thought. When this all first happened with Louis, and he wrote his little apology, his adorable little apology, and then decided to go and he said in the apology, I'm going to go away for a while. I thought that's good. You should go away. I would say minimum 5 years. Go away for 5 years, and then test the waters. Come on back. Maybe make a few, more apologies. Maybe get together with those people and try to, I don't know. Maybe that's just another. So 5 years though was a term in my head, and it has been 9 months, I think. Yep, maybe 10 months, something like that. Not even a year. So that's pretty fucking cocky, Louis. Pretty fucking cocky. You cocky fuck. So anyway, that's I'm done. I'm just done talking about Louis. I think forever now, for a while at least, for probably 5 years. Okay, so where are we at here? I've seen some movies. I saw Insane. That was really good. I approve. That film was shot on an iPhone. That was a good movie. It was shot on an iPhone. No shaky cam. A little bit. But all nice, steady, beautiful shots. Man, that's some skill. Some skill to shoot a good-looking movie like that at all. But on an iPhone, goddamn, man. Able to hold that shit still. That was tasty. I saw Infinity War, Deadpool 2, Super Troopers 2, bunch of fucking sequels. Those were varying degrees of terrible, I guess. Action-y. Infinity War was a spectacle. Deadpool was whatever. And Deadpool is weird. That's where we are. We're at Deadpool. I really wanted a Deadpool style movie when I was 13. That was definitely, and into my 20s. 10, 15 years ago. It feels like, God, it feels weird. It's like, I don't know. Where are we going to be in 10 years with that kind of craziness out there in the world today? I don't know what I'm talking about. It's pretty weird. I don't know. It's just this like ultra violence with a veneer of goofy. Okay, I've never really liked that in comedies when something horribly violent happens. Like This Is the End. This is comedy, but there's just scenes of like ridiculous violence, And it's like, oh, we're supposed to laugh at that. It's supposed to be funny, and sometimes it is, but damn, man, it's like, I don't know. It's pretty rough. I think violence and I don't know. Maybe it goes back to like Three Stooges, though. Three Stooges were pretty violent. I don't know if you can hear it. I am fucking burping and snorting all over this track, man. It's disgusting. I just woke up like a couple hours ago. So weird. It's weird. It's a morning podcast now. I usually do it in the morning, but it would be my evening. So I switched up my sleeping schedule. So I'm going to bed at like 6 and 7 o'clock and getting up at midnight. Most of the time, this is my weekend, so I went to bed late and got up at 3 a.m. Oh, man, what a fucking nightmare sleeping is. I think I'm going to quit doing it. All right, we have barely talked about podcasts. This podcast has barely been about Face Off at all. Let's get into it. Let's dive into some sweet Face Off action. And if you haven't watched Face Off, if you don't even know what this podcast is about, and this is your first episode, have very little regard for getting people caught up here. But I'm looking for the meaning of life in the movie Face Off, the Nicolas Cage, John Travolta vehicle by John Woo, 1997. Looking for the meaning of life, something short, pithy, that we can all understand, and I haven't found it. What do we have today? Today was one. It was it's probably going to be a disaster. That's a pretty good summation. Most of the phrases in the running for the meaning of life are fairly negative in their scope. It's probably going to be a disaster. It's probably going to be a huge waste of time. There's a couple more. I don't have my paper because, as I said earlier, I'm on location at the Argonne Hico-Mart laundromat. The sun is rising around me. I'm being shrouded in light. Wait, can you be shrouded in light? I don't think so. I think the shroud is lifting. The shroud of darkness is lifting, and the light is being shown in. You guys ever listen to Michael Franti? Michael Franti is the business. He's a good... I don't listen to him anymore. I don't listen to much music anymore. But when I was into music, I liked the Michael Franti and Spearhead. They had a couple of hits, The Sound of Sunshine, and that other one. I can't remember what it was called. But it was a funky beat. Man, I like that song too. It was a cool one. It was anyway, I'll figure it out someday. Michael Franti, oh man, and he had a lyric. He said, if you want to defeat the vampires, simply lead them into the light. I think it was something like that. I don't think he said defeat, but it was talking about the world, man. The dark can't. What were we talking about? Oh, the night. Okay, the dark was shrouding me. It has been defeated by the light. It is. So if there's a takeaway from this segment of the episode, it's go listen to some Michael Franti. Say Hey, I Love You. That was the title of the song. Say Hey, and then in parentheses, I love you. I'm pretty sure was it. God, that was a good jam. That whole fucking album, all of his albums were pretty fucking solid, man. I'm sure he's got some new shit out there too, but I just like that. It's kind of this jangly rock and roll sort of little reggae flavor, little hip hop flavor in there. Guy was fucking dope. I saw him twice. I saw him once in Spokane. It was one of the best shows live at the Knitting Factory, and once in Tucson, Flagstaff, Arizona, at the Orpheum Concert Hall up there. Both really good shows. What an interesting guy. Alright, into fucking Face Off. We're diving in towards the center of this movie. Mikey is dead. He dies right away. But at one point, Castor... Okay, so Sean Troy is what I'm going to call him. So when Castor Troy has Sean Archer's face, I'm going to call him Sean Troy. And when Sean Archer has Castor Troy's face, I'm going to call him Castor Archer. And this happens in the movie too. There's a part where Castor Archer is looking in the mirror and he's saying, I'm me, and he's high as fuck. He's high as fuck on some crazy futuristic drugs. They're not even futuristic. This is 1997. It's just some fantasy drugs. They don't want to use real drugs in this movie. So these are blue pills that you pop open, blue capsules that you pop open and then put in water and then drink. And it gets you fucked up, right? The symptoms seem to be a sense of euphoria. Or not the symptoms, but the effects. A sense of euphoria, They seem to be disassociation a little bit. It seems to be a slurring, like a slowing of the motor functions. So it's a little bit difficult to walk, like being drunk or something. Possibly blurring of vision, tracers, that sort of thing. And a disorientation of the mind, a confusion of the mind, which is to be expected if you have somebody else's face on your head and you've been made up to look exactly like them. So, what is this drug? Who knows? Nobody knows, but they never refer to any drug as weed or speed or cocaine or crack or anything like that. It's all got futuristic names, like I feel Quantrax. I feel like I had a bad hit of Quantrax, so maybe this is Quantrax, you know? Who knows? These are all fantasy world drugs. And when they take this drug, I confused it. I thought it was a yuck mouth thing. And I say yuck mouth because I am a rapper from the early 2000s, 2007, who lives in the Bay Area and eats ecstasy all the time. So that's why I'm hip. I'm hip on this stuff. I'm up on it. The kids call it Molly these days, right? I don't know. MDMA. That's the good shit. I thought maybe it was one of those things, because this stuff is not delicious. It's nasty and ugh, it's gross. It tastes gross, but it feels excellent. It feels wonderful. I recommend it for everybody. It's sort of like the reverse of Taco Bell, which tastes pretty good, but is a horrible experience afterwards. This tastes really bad, but is an excellent experience. I got a question. Have you ever smelled something that smelled gross but tasted good? I don't think so. I heard of it, and this is a deep cut, but I heard of it on a Canadian cooking show. Somebody said, this thing smells bad, but it tastes great. And I can't remember what the thing is, but I want to know what it is. And that's a deep cut memory, and it doesn't mean anything at all. Back on track. Drugs. So, at one point, Castor Archer, he's looking in the mirror and he says, I'm me. He's high. He's fucked up. He says, I'm me. And maybe thirst is another thing, because he's trying to, water in the mouth. You know what that is. That's called drinking. But he's doing it weirdly. And you know what weirdly is? That's called bad English. So, he's looking in the mirror and he's saying, I'm me. I'm me. I'm Castor. I'm Archer. I'm Castor Archer. So he's confused. So that's what we're taking. I'm saying that when Sean Archer has Castor Troy's face, he is Castor Archer. That's how I'm going to refer to him. And when Castor Troy has Sean Archer's face, he is Sean Troy. That's how we'll refer to him. So Sean Archer is Sean Archer, Castor Troy is Castor Troy, and then we have Sean Troy and Castor Archer. Now, where were we going? Oh yeah, and uncontrollable laughing too. They have a laughing fit when they take that drug. They have a laughing fit. One of those ones where you can't stop laughing. Isn't that an odd thing? I remember having a laughing fit like that watching Talladega Nights. I had drank like 6 beers and watching Talladega Nights, and there's that part where Ricky Bobby's dad puts the mountain lion in his car, and he's like, it's like you gotta tame your fears. It's like, I bet you have a fear of having a mountain lion in your car while you're driving. And then he's like, Will Ferrell's like looking at it. He's like, look at him. He's just tracking me. He's just tracking me. Oh man, I lost my shit to that. And it's happened several other times. Those screaming goats. Fuck man, I love a screaming goat. If you haven't looked up screaming goats online, gotta do that. There's another thing too that cracked me up. recently it was a video online of music covers, but this guy used a thing called what was that thing called? An automaton? That's what it is. Automaton. 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 OTOMOTONE, something like that. And it was like covers of System of a Down songs and stuff. And what this thing is like a little weird electrical thing. It looks like a music note, and it's got a little face on the little round part at the bottom. And you squeeze it, and it's got a little mouth. And then you move the slider up and down, and it makes this kind of wah 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 noise. And they use that to cover the vocals. It's fucking hilarious. Holy shit. Automaton music covers. Automaton metal covers. It's hilarious. I was walking down the street listening to that and lost my shit. I was just fucking cracking up in the middle of the road laughing. Could not stop laughing. What an odd thing. What if that happened? There's stories of people getting hiccups, and their hiccups lasting for like 10 years, which is awful. On a side note, on a tangent to this tangent, which is a tangent from 4 other tangents, I spent several days, so I was in a mental institution 2 different times. One time for like 4 days, one time for just over a week, I think. And I got out, and this is for bipolar disorder, suicidal ideation, these kind of things. And I have, this is over a 2-year period. That was within a couple of months of each other, but I had a bunch of different psychiatric medications. I tried like 14 different psychiatric medications over 2 years, and one of them, I want to say it was Geodone, because this was right after I got out of the mental hospital. I'm pretty sure it was Geodone. It was either that or Abilify. But one of the side effects was that I would swallow. So when you're not eating, you're just hanging out, and you swallow, and there's nothing in your mouth, but you just have the urge to kind of swallow, sort of clear out your throat or something. So I would swallow, and all the time. So it was a non-stop swallow. It was like a weird reflex thing that I could not do. So if you try that right now and just swallow once, and then just swallow, and I don't know if it's coming up, but I'm doing it right now. It's probably disgusting over the earbuds. And then just swallow right after that, and then right after that again, and then right after that again, and do that for like 5 minutes. You'll want to kill yourself. Holy fuck, this went on for a couple of months. It was exhausting. I was swallowing constantly in my sleep. I couldn't sleep because I was swallowing all the time. It was so bizarre and weird and annoying and awful. So I can only imagine if you had hiccups for 10 years. Oh, no way, man. Give it a month. I would be I'd be checking out. And what was the other thing? Man, I forgot what we were talking about. Oh, laughing. That was it. Imagine if you started laughing and it became uncontrollable and you couldn't stop laughing and you laughed for like 10 years straight. It would be so fucking crazy. It would hurt so bad. You'd have like a 6-pack abs in a couple of months. You'd probably be in super good shape. Oh man, if you could just lose control like that. God damn, it's a good feeling, but I think that it feels bad physically, like it hurts, but it feels so good to like lose that control and go crazy. So that's another effect of that drug, is it made them laugh. Maybe it was maybe a loss of inhibitions would be another thing to add up to that. So anyway, let's get back to Mikey. He gets killed. And Sean Troy is made to visit his gravestone with Eve Archer on his birthday, on Mikey Archer's birthday. I think it's on his birthday. Maybe it's on his death day. That's a weird day to celebrate. I used to mark my dad's death day as an occasion, and I do now. I still do kind of. It was December 1st, so it's very like prominent in my mind. But I mark it now earlier, like in November, because I start to get funky in November, and it lasts through like January. So being more aware of it, like, oh yeah, that makes sense that my dad fucking died in December 1st. So November, I would be, have a mood change in the preceding years, and then obviously in December, and then it would start to fade out in January. But now I'm a lot more aware of it in the past couple. Oh man, that was like 20 years ago that he died, and now in the past couple of years, I'm starting to become aware of it because of with Angela and the kids' help and stuff. Starting to become aware of it, and to not just be totally unaware and just sink into a horrible depression for 3 months, which is what happened every year up until a couple of years ago. So it's nice to be more aware of it, to open up some awareness. I think any amount of awareness is good. It's real good. Just add to it. So Sean Troy has to visit Mikey Archer's grave, a grave that he put the kid into, and Eve puts a on the grave. She leaves, I think she leaves flowers, but she also leaves a robot, a tractor, and a killer whale. The little toys, little plastic toys. And this killer whale looks like a killer whale, like it's got teeth and like fangs and shit. So. And what? Okay, this is a little kid, 6-year-old kid, right? These are manly American toys? It's a tractor, a robot, and a killer whale. And this killer whale just basically looks like a monster. That's what I would call it. It's a monster. This is a monster. That's what a kid would call it, I think, is a monster. So she puts them on there like. I don't know. I thought there would be more there. It's just those are boy things. The looking into the future, the crazy robots, futuristic robot, also a nostalgic robot. Because this is the robot that was supposed to already happen, but it didn't. So it's a futuristic nostalgia. And then the creation destruction dichotomy of a giant tractor. It was one of those ones with the bucket on the front, There's a creation destruction thing going on there because you can use it to create, also to destroy. And then the monster, but it's small. It's a manageable monster, a tamed monster. Are these all male things? Are these all boy things? Is what we're teaching our boys? What are we teaching boys? What do I know? I don't know shit. I think boys are fairly destructive. I don't know. Maybe not anymore. I was destructive. Still am. Still am destructive. I don't know if it's because I'm a boy. Huh. I'm not a boy anymore. I'm a man. But I definitely know that okay, so here's a way to put it. I definitely know that any advances that I've made in the past 10 years have been from embracing my feminine qualities. And not even just embracing them, but trying to bring them out in myself. So in feminine qualities, God, it's like a minefield trying to talk about this stuff, really. But I refer to them as feminine qualities because I didn't possess them, and I saw myself, and still often do see myself, as the pinnacle of manness. I recognize that I'm a weak-willed, fatty, slob, baby, man-child, but there's still part of me that says you are it. You're the best that there will ever be. And then there's people like Dave Bautista and The Rock. And I'm like, oh, they don't get it. They just don't understand. Those guys they don't get it, you know. But so anyway, any advances that I made in my life recently have been from embracing my feminine qualities, and the feminine qualities are what I refer to, or the qualities that I aren't readily available to me, like empathy is a big one. Empathy, obviously, and sympathy is another one, and just oh man, just even thinking about other people, you know, just even giving them a thought is those are huge parts of it. And taking care. There was a movie a while back called Beasts of the Southern Wild, which is a really good, solid flick. There was a part where there was a quote out of that movie that was man, I can't remember the quote. It was something about, you know, our job is to keep those things that are smaller and sweeter than us. To protect things that are smaller and sweeter than us. And that's a fucking fantastic quote. That's a way of looking at the world that doesn't hurt, you know. You look for the things that are smaller and sweeter than you are, and you take care of them. You protect them from the world, because there's not everything's going to be protecting them, but a lot of things are going to be trying to bring them down, to bring down those small sweet things in this world. And so if we're bigger and we're stronger, and even if we're not big and strong, there's always something that's smaller and sweeter than us, and we should try to protect them. We should try to look out for them. That's one of those things that I know it's right on a certain level, but it's a hard thing to do because I just want to destroy everything constantly. I'm always keeping that in check. All right, let's move forward, Dietrich. Let's move forward to important things like patterns on clothes. Dietrich has a weird thing. I would call it minimalist plaid because it's just lines on a suit. It's like a blackish suit with red lines, intersecting lines. I would call it plaid, but like minimalist plaid. It's just one set of lines instead of a bunch. And it's really fucking stupid, but you wouldn't know it just by seeing it go by. You gotta actually stop and take it in a little bit. Dietrich in general is really fucking stupid, but he's I would say his bent, his sort of story arc or whatever is just being very aware of his own end. And so he's scared. So let's say that you knew when you were going to die. And you knew how you were going to face it down. But on the way to that moment, you were confronted by near-death experiences. It seems like those near-death experiences would be even more scary and not less scary. Because you're like, oh God, this isn't how I die, so this might just be how I get fucked up. You know what I mean? There's a book called the Wind-Up Bird Chronicles, I want to say is what it's called. God, you have to correct me if I'm wrong. And Murakami? Haruki Murakami? God damn, I just fucking butchered that, I'm sure. Japanese dude, postmodernist, good writer. Wind-Up Bird Chronicles is probably one of his more famous books, but one of the characters in that book gets told when he's going to die, and it becomes a curse. It's a blessing to know at the moment, because at the moment he was fighting in a war, and he was told, you're not going to die in this war, you're going to die of old age in your home, and he said, that's good. And then it quickly becomes a curse, because he's like, oh God, I didn't realize that life could get so rough that dying would be an escape, that it would be a way out, that I would prefer death to life. You know what I mean? And so here's what I posit. Go read the Wind-Up Bird Chronicles. It's dope. Dope and horrifying. And I keep saying dope unironically, and that is really cool. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking with Dietrich, is that Dietrich is aware of his expiration date. He knows when he's going to die, and when it happens, he faces it heroically, in a sense, or stoically, I guess you might say, because he is a villain, so maybe not heroically, but stoically, and he faces it with calm. So when the fucking SWAT bust into his apartment, if you watch him, he moves so smooth. He's just like it's no problem. And he's, cops, I fucking hate cops, man. You're fucking up my apartment. It's got the quippy one-liners, and he's just murdering the shit out of the SWAT team. So, and he faces down his death. He faces it down like a champ, Kisses his sister on the lips. Gross. And faces it down. But when Sean Archer puts a gun in his eyeball hole and threatens him with it, he folds like a soft piece of bologna and gives up the information that he has, And I think that's because he knows that isn't when he dies. He knows that isn't when he dies, but it could be when his body gets fucked up for the rest of his life, And so he's maybe paralyzed or brain dead or something like that, but he knows that's not when he dies. So awareness of your own death isn't necessarily freedom from fear, because in life there are things worse than death. And so that's what I think is Dietrich's thing, and that's probably why he wears those shitty suits too, is because of some sort of atonement for something. I have no fucking clue. So in our Greek tragedy mythology of this book, that is Dietrich's more interesting trait, is he is one who is aware of his own expiration date, and is a braggadocious but also ultimately soft bully because of it. A successful villain because of it. There's some really clunky foreshadowing sort of shit or something. Sean Archer and also Sean Troy both make commentary about the daughter of Jamie Archer, and say, you're putting on a different face every week, or you've been hiding behind someone else's face. It's rough. Like, it's just shoehorned in there. It's nasty. She is just one of the worst actors in this movie too, and maybe it's just not given anything to do with the character besides to be like eye candy and also an irritation to everybody and a hostage. But it was the 90s, I guess. I don't know what to say about that whole dynamic. Really, maybe I thought there would be more. Hoping you wouldn't feel the pain. It said you're hiding behind someone else's face, hoping you wouldn't feel the pain of your brother's death. And I don't know. That's not the way to do it. I don't think. You gotta go right up the middle, man. Okay, and here's the thing that, and these are kids. So Jamie Archer is still a kid. She is a child in this movie, 16, 17 years old, something like that. And kids in this movie are treated as objects. They're treated as things to be traded, to be bargained with, or be used for bargaining. And it's a weird dynamic. I don't particularly like it. It's very pedophilic, And so here's another spot where Castor Archer says, "Hey, these are nice clothes," and that is also a nice-looking kid. Which weird. And then he proceeds to fawn over this kid, like it's the replacement. Like he recognizes the replacement to his kid who died. And it is horrible. That is such a disgusting thing to do. You cannot. It's like if your dog dies, you can't go buy a dog that kind of looks like him and hope that it's the same. I actually heard a story about somebody who had a bull. This was a documentary about cloning. But this guy had a bull, and it was a prize-winning bull. And it was nice. This bull was it was friendly. It was a happy bull. It's like 1,500 pounds or something. These things are fucking huge, the size of cars, And this bull was this dude's friend, and he loved it. And it was the prize-winning bull and everything. And they took when it died, because it died of old age. And it was sad. He was really sad. And they cloned it. They cloned the bull. And the clone was a total asshole. And almost killed him several times. And it was like, man, it's such a good... It's good to remember that it just because things look the same, they're not. You can't just fucking replace a dead kid with another kid. God damn it. Was there ever a point in our... Is there really a point in our society where we would accept that, even in a fantastical action movie, where we'd be like, okay, this movie may be a little outlandish, but all in all, we'll accept it. We'll let it be out there. And somebody just, my kid died, but that's okay. I'll just kill the guy who killed my kid and then replace my kid with their kid, because they basically look the same. This is so fucking gross, man. So gross. I really, it's disgusting, because I think this, I think the pedophilia thing, it goes deep. It goes to different levels. We like, oh yeah, you like to fuck kids. Gross. But it's different than that. It's like the whole Michael Jackson thing. If Michael Jackson did fuck kids, which he probably did, but if he did fuck kids, it's probably because he felt like he was a kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he was stunted as a motherfucker. If you look stunted up in the dictionary, it'll have the definition of stunted. But Michael Jackson basically thought of himself as a kid, He probably had cowboy pajamas, much like Adam Archer has these little cowboy pajamas. And that's another boy thing, man. Cowboys. Fuck. Do we really need to... God damn it. Do we really need to be like, hey, little kid... Do kids even like cowboys anymore? I mean, in 97, were they still into cowboys? God damn it. What the fuck, man? What a weird world. It'd be like having a pajamas with slave masters on them or something like that. Fucking so stupid. Pirates and shit. I don't know. Okay, so the action in this movie, I'm going to try to get through this. My laundry's almost done. And that's how you know when the podcast is over. So the laundry is done and the day is beginning. God, there's people out here. I'm just sitting here in this car, rambling to myself in front of this place. There's people walking by. I've been out here for hours now, just blah, 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 blah. The action in this movie. There is no narrative to the action. If you watch any movie that's an action movie, I mean, god damn, the guy gets shit on a lot, but if you watch a Michael Bay movie and watch the action scenes, there's a narrative to it. You know what I mean? It feels like a piece of music. It's like a chaotic music or whatever, but even that dude has a narrative to it. John Woo, this movie especially, I'm gonna check out some other John Woo movies, but this movie especially, no narrative. As soon as the action starts, it's just utter chaos, and it doesn't matter. It's not like a big set piece. It's just like, what can we explode in this piece, and who can jump in a weird way, and how can we flip you around and kick you out a window and all this shit. There's no narrative to it. It's just all style and all chaos. You don't know what the fuck is going on, you know? It's crazy. In the midst of all this chaos, the shootout at Dietrich's apartment, or Dietrich's fucking palatial estate, Castor Archer, nope, wrong, Sean Troy shoots Dietrich in the neck. But it's on accident, because Dietrich sees it coming. He jumps in the way of the bullet. He knows that is his bullet. That is his doom etched in the lead of that particular bullet. And so he jumps in the way of it, saving either Sasha or Adam, or both, because she's carrying Adam, from death. So Sean Troy decided to shoot his kid, his own kid, or his baby mama. One of the two. He decided to shoot him. Out of the blue, kind of. Like, what was the point of that? Why would he do that? I don't know. I might have to think on that. I'm going to have to think on that. Another theme throughout this movie is, well, before we get into that, Sean Troy, as soon as Castor gets Sean Archer's face, he makes some little changes. He starts smoking, for one, but another thing he changes is he gets a little tie pin to put behind his tie. It's a little pin thing behind his tie. What the fuck? I get this feeling that Castor Troy, his whole life, has been trying to achieve some level of this rarefied air, of this wealth, and he dresses in these tacky fucking clothes, and he has all these stupid shit like guns and stuff like that, you know, gold-plated guns and fucking ridiculous money clips and stuff like that, you know, and drives a gaudy Cadillac. I drive a Cadillac when it works. And so he's trying to be this like wealthy, classy type of person. And then as soon as he gets Sean Archer's face, he tries to fit in. He tries to be Sean Archer, but his approximation of what Sean Archer is like this fucking, I don't know, English dandy or something. Like this rich fucking, I don't know. So the way Travolta plays Archer is like this working class stiff, this fucking, I don't know how to put it, like, just this schlub, basically. The schlub. And then as soon as Castor and then when Castor Troy gets Archer's face, he becomes this poncy, And it's important to remember that it's John Travolta playing Bull. So I guess the way to put it is John Travolta playing Sean Archer is like this working class schlub, this knows the grindstone kind of fucking no nonsense asshole, and then John Travolta playing Castor Troy with Archer's face is this, he plays it like this puncy fucking foppish sort of fucking ding dong, you know, the way he talks and the way he puts his tie clip on and the way he stands in his living room smoking while waiting for phone calls and stuff. It's so fucking weird. It's like, this must be what people do. They just hang out in their living room smoking, waiting for phone calls. It's like, might as well just play the dude with an English accent. Really. Excuse me. It's early, as I mentioned 47,000 times. Alright, another theme in this movie is that Castor Troy, whether he's Sean Troy or himself, is always negotiating with Sean Archer. He's always negotiating. He's saying, why don't you let me and my brother go and we'll give the city a break. We won't blow up LA. Why don't you come be a terrorist with us? It's a lot of fun. You'll really enjoy it. Why don't we switch back faces and not kill each other? And we'll just go back to how it was. Why don't we do this? Let's. Every time they talk, he tries to negotiate with him. And Sean Archer is stiff as a fucking board. He will never negotiate. He will not negotiate with terrorists. He never negotiates with him. He'll never do that. It's his way or the highway. He's a fucking asshole. And so it brings me to an old parable, I think, is that good will break before it bends. And I don't necessarily think that's a good thing. You know, I think that bending is not necessarily the worst thing. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Some people feel like that. Good will break on evil before it will bend to its will or something. But, I don't know. Maybe a little bend is okay. Maybe not. Maybe I don't know shit. I really feel a little bit spazzy right now, actually. Okay, one last thing is Pollux Troy's death is he gets spear tackled by Castor Archer through a glass ceiling, and falls to his death. Crotch tackled. He is crotch tackled. That's what it is, not spear tackled. Like Castor Archer, like Tarzan swings towards him and crotch tackles him through a glass ceiling, and then he falls to his death. There's got to be some sort of metaphor. Look how far the great have fallen, or something. I don't know, something there, something we could use in the mythology. I'm actually pretty excited about writing that mythology. I think it's going to be infinitely better than this movie. And I'm gonna probably do it too. That's the fucked up weird part. I mean, I can't see not doing it after 50 episodes. This is episode motherfucking 12. Nobody thought we'd make it to episode 12. I didn't think we would, but here we are, and it's going great. It's going so good right now. So, no video on this episode. By the way, there might be a video, just no video of me. None of my face. It's just going to be geometric patterns or pug pictures, you know, because like I said, I'm on location, guys. I'm on location. I'm making excuses right now. All right, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. I gotta go fold laundry. and get to the day. Get to starting the day. It's 7 a.m. and I've been up for 4 hours. I'm getting ready to start this day and see what happens. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. Holy shit, the smoke is cleared here in Spokane for the time being. Sun is coming up. It's cool. It's crisp. I'm wearing pants and only slightly regretting it. Much more of a shorts person. But, it's good. Have a good day. I know it's when this comes out, it's probably going to be smoky and hailing at the same time somehow. But I had fun. This is a fun episode. I like this. I like being on location. I like double dipping, doing double damage. Doing laundry and doing a podcast. So I'm going to figure out how to get the laptop working and bring the microphone with me so I can look even more normal sitting in a car outside of a laundromat speaking into a microphone in the middle of the night, because that it would probably have a video camera somewhere or something, because that is the epitome that's every podcaster's dream. That's really every person's dream, is to record podcasts about 20-year-old movies and the philosophy embedded in the very fabric of the film, extracting every bit of information that's available, and doing all that on location at the Hico laundromat parking lot while my laundry tumbles inside, becoming dry, first becoming moist and wet and clean, and then becoming dry and still clean and still probably wet. I never dry it for long enough. Alright, man. Hey, everybody, stay beautiful out there inside inside your soul. Stay gorgeous. I don't know. Maybe stay aware and empathetic inside your soul, and don't worry about the gorgeous. Can you be ugly? Can you have an ugly soul and still be a good, empathetic, sympathetic, wonderful person? Can your soul have a hideous, warty? Does your soul have an exterior? Can your soul have boils and symptoms of some sort of oh man, I totally lost it there. All right, keep your soul real. Keep it real. Stay cool. Don't sell out to the Illuminati, lizard, reptile, shape-shifting, MK Ultra, Denver airport living scum of the ether. Keep your soul fresh and keep it on the Face Off podcast here. Thanks for tuning in to this. I had fun on location at the Hico laundromat parking lot. I had a good time. I hope you did too. I hope I didn't burp into the microphone too much. Thanks. Contact me if you want on all social media. Don't be fun on Facebook Messenger. You can hit me up on the Instagram. Drop a gram, baby. Drop a gram. Is that what they say? Drop a gram. I tried TikTok and nope, that's not happening. Don't do that. That's the new thing. I wanted to be on top of the new thing. I missed Snapchat. I missed out on that. There's no way that's happening either. So I wanted to be first in my friends group to be on TikTok. And so I downloaded TikTok, and I I instantly regretted it. It was a very, very jarring experience. It was intense. And I am not able to do that. So I'm on fuddy-duddy old Facebook, Instagram, get on YouTube. Check out some old stand-up comedy videos from this year and last year. And also usually videos of this podcast. The last two episodes aren't up. Or this episode and the last episode aren't up. But they should be soon. So do that stuff. Do it. Twitter? You want a tweeter? You want to start a Twitter war with me? Do it. Let's start a Twitter war. I wanted to try to start a like vortex on YouTube, on Facebook. So where I'd put up a post and then somebody would like it or somebody would comment with just a period, and then I would reply to their comment with just a period, and they would and everybody, and so just a little, and so everybody would comment, but every time you left a period comment, you would like the comment before it until it was just millions of likes on this one post that that didn't mean anything. It was just a total stupid. Like, to see if we could wear it out. Like, if there was an upper limit. I'm releasing chapter by chapter a book, Allegory in Red, on Facebook. You can read it in my notes, or just search Allegory in Red. I'm gonna at the end of it, I'm gonna just drop the whole thing on a note. So it's going to be a bit like 86,000 words or something like that. It'll be a big post. I wonder if there's an upper limit. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I like that. I like the idea of trying to find the upper limits to stuff. All right, I am just rambling right now. Thanks for hanging, spending your day partially with me. And again, I apologize for the burps and the swallowing noises. Have a great day. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys and gals and everybody. Have a great day. Goodbye. Goodbye. Good night.